You have done everything they told you to do. You studied hard. You worked late. You said the right words at the right time. You played the part of the good son, the reliable man, the one who always followed the rules. And yet, something feels wrong. It's a quiet sickness that creeps in when the noise fades. You've checked all the boxes, but the box you live inside feels like a coffin. You've done everything right, but life feels wrong. You look in the mirror, and the reflection stares back like a stranger. You smile in conversations, but inside you feel empty. You walk into rooms, nod politely, and everyone approves of you. Yet the approval feels hollow. Because deep down, you know they don't see you. They see a mask. Carl Jung warned about this. He called it the persona, the mask we wear to survive in society. A mask that begins as protection, but ends as a prison. You've become everything they wanted, but in the process, you've betrayed the one thing that mattered, yourself. Think about it. You've spent years perfecting an image, reliable, polite, successful, maybe even admired. But when the lights go out, when you're alone with your thoughts, you can't shake the feeling that you're performing a life that doesn't belong to you. That feeling, that haunting wrongness, is not random. It's the price of living too well as someone else's idea of you. And here is the bitter truth. The more perfectly you play the game, the emptier you will feel. The more obediently you follow the script, the less alive you become. The better you fit in, the more invisible you are, even to yourself. That's why life feels wrong, not because you failed, but because you succeeded at the wrong thing. Society celebrates you for being useful, for being disciplined, for being agreeable. But Jung's warning was brutal. If you confuse the mask for your identity, you will never know who you are. You are not tired because you work too hard. You are tired because you are working for an image that is not you. You are not empty because you lack success. You are empty because you've traded authenticity for approval. And here's the most dangerous part. Most men will never even notice. They will live their entire lives applauded for being good, while silently rotting inside. They will marry, work, smile, and die without ever meeting the self they were meant to be. But you're different, because you feel it. That tension, that wrongness, that gnawing hollowness, it's not a weakness, it's a signal. It's your mind, your soul, your unconscious screaming at you. Wake up. You're not who you think you are. This is why you're here. This is why you pressed play. Because deep down, you already know the truth. And in this video, we are going to rip the mask off, burn the script, and uncover why the life you've built feels lifeless, and how Jung's forbidden path can lead you back to something real, not comfort, not approval, not a smile from strangers, but truth. And truth is dangerous. They told you the formula. Work hard, be polite, follow the rules, don't make trouble, keep your head down. And if you obey long enough, if you sacrifice yourself long enough, life will reward you. That's the lie. Because you already know the truth. You followed the script, you colored inside the lines, and what did it give you? Exhaustion. A hollow kind of success that tastes like ash. This is the hidden disease of modern life. You can do everything right, and still feel completely wrong. Carl Jung understood why. He called it the persona, the mask you wear to function in society. At first, the mask is useful. You can't walk into every room showing all your chaos, all your rage, all your strangeness. So you build an image, the good student, the nice employee, the respectful son, the obedient citizen. But here's the danger. The more perfect the mask becomes, the more it smothers the face underneath. And one day, you don't know if you're wearing the mask, or if the mask is wearing you. Think of the soldiers of old, men who marched in perfect order, saluted with perfect precision, obeyed every command. They were praised as heroes, model citizens. Yet, when the war ended, many returned broken. Why? Because they had lived so long as cogs in a machine that they forgot what it meant to be men. Their individuality rotted inside the uniform. Think of the faceless bureaucrats in history, stamping papers, filing reports, enforcing rules. They looked disciplined, they looked efficient, but their souls were dead long before their bodies. Kafka saw it clearly. Men swallowed by systems until they became less than insects. And think of today, the perfect student with the 4.0 GPA, who never once said what he truly thought. The employee who never missed a deadline, but secretly dreads waking up. The polite man who smiles at every joke, nods at every insult, agrees to every demand, and wonders why no one respects him. These are not failures. They are the success stories. the kind of people society celebrates, and that's the tragedy. Because success by the world's standards often means suicide by the soul. You've been taught that obedience is strength, but obedience is the easiest thing in the world. Any animal can be trained to follow commands. True strength is dangerous. It is unpredictable. It is alive. And yet, society despises that kind of strength. They will tell you to hide it, to tame it, to be nice, agreeable, reliable. They don't want you real. They want you useful. That's why you feel the wrongness, because deep down, you know you are living for a script that was never written for you. Nietzsche called this the morality of the herd, the pressure to stay small, stay safe, stay like everyone else. Jung warned that the persona, when worshipped, devours the self. And Machiavelli? He laughed at the man who thought being loved mattered more than being feared. History has always divided men into two groups, the ones who obey, and the ones who awaken. But awakening comes with a cost. It means facing the truth that terrifies most. You are not real when you do what everyone expects. You are not whole when you perform for applause. You are not alive when you only live to be approved. That is the hidden lie of doing everything right. It looks noble. It feels safe. But in reality, it is the slowest, most respectable form of death. And here is the bitterest part. Most people will never question it. They will die as smiling slaves, congratulated for their obedience. They will be remembered as good men, even as their true selves remain buried, undiscovered, and unlived. But you are here. You are listening, which means you already feel the sickness inside the script. You know the approval isn't enough. You know the applause feels empty. You know that playing the good role still leaves you restless. That feeling is not weakness. It is proof. Proof that you are not meant to live as a mask. Proof that you are one of the rare few who can see the lie for what it is. So hear this clearly. If you keep living as the right man, you will die wrong. If you keep perfecting the persona, you will lose the self. And if you keep obeying the script, you will never write your own story. That is why Jung's warning is more than psychology. It is prophecy. The persona may keep you safe. It may keep you liked, but it will never keep you alive. The world doesn't punish you instantly for betraying yourself. That's why so many people keep doing it. At first, it looks like nothing. You nod when you disagree. You smile when you're angry. You say yes when every cell in your body wants to say no. And for a while, you get away with it. People like you. You're praised for being agreeable, for being reliable, for being good. But inside, a quiet erosion begins. Every time you silence your real thoughts, a piece of you dies. Every time you play along, your soul weakens. And soon the cost begins to show. It shows up as fatigue you can't explain. You're not just tired from lack of sleep. You're tired from carrying a life that isn't yours. It shows up as numbness. The music you used to love sounds dull. The victories that should thrill you feel flat. You go through the motions, but nothing cuts deep anymore. It shows up as alienation. You're surrounded by people, but you feel alone. You laugh at the right times, but inside, you're not laughing. This is the silent bill of self-betrayal. It doesn't scream. It doesn't knock. It just empties you, drip by drip, until one day you realize you are a ghost inside your own life. Carl Jung understood why this happens. He warned that the parts of yourself you disown don't disappear. They don't vanish just because you pretend they aren't there. They go underground. They gather strength in the dark. He called this the shadow. The shadow is everything you've rejected in yourself. The anger you suppress. The desire you deny, the ambition you shame, the truth you swallow because it's impolite. And the more you deny it, the stronger it becomes. Until one day it leaks out, not as choice, but as compulsion. Think of the man who smiles all day at work, praised for being friendly, calm, professional. But when he gets home, he drinks until he can't think. He hates the face in the mirror, though he never says it out loud. He's betrayed himself so long that the shadow takes its revenge. Or think of the perfect husband who never raises his voice, never argues, always agrees. Everyone calls him a saint. But deep inside, resentment coils like a snake, and one night, it explodes. In an affair, in cruelty, in rage that shocks everyone. This is what self-betrayal does. It poisons from within until the damage bursts through. Being good sounds safe. But being good is often the most dangerous form of living, because goodness, when it is nothing but obedience, is not virtue. It is weakness wearing a halo, and weakness always has a cost. Weakness doesn't make you harmless, it makes you unstable. Jung's warning was brutal. If you exile parts of yourself, those parts will return with vengeance. The shadow grows teeth, and the longer you betray yourself, the sharper those teeth become. So ask yourself, what parts of you have you locked away? What truths do you bury in silence? What anger do you choke back until it burns your chest? What desires do you mock in yourself because society told you they were wrong? Every single one of those things is the shadow you've betrayed, and every single one of them is collecting interest. History is filled with men who lived this lie, men praised as noble, righteous, disciplined, but whose private journals revealed despair so heavy it nearly crushed them. Think of Tolstoy, preaching morality while confessing in his diary that he felt like a fraud. Think of the priests and moral leaders who preached purity while hiding scandals that destroyed their lives. The world applauded their mask, but the shadow was waiting. And you, if you keep living for applause, you are next. This is the price of self-betrayal, fatigue that no rest cures, emptiness that no success fills, alienation that no crowd fixes, a smile that feels more like a wound than an expression. It is a life that looks fine on the outside, but feels like slow death on the inside. And maybe you've already felt it, the hollow mornings, the nights where silence feels unbearable, the creeping sense that you're living someone else's life. That's not weakness. That's the evidence. That's the shadow pounding at the walls you built. Most men ignore it. They drown it in noise, in alcohol, in distractions, in endless scrolling. They keep betraying themselves until they don't even notice the betrayal anymore. Until their numbness becomes their personality. Until their emptiness becomes their identity. But not you. Because you can feel it. And if you feel it, you still have a chance to fight it. That's the difference between the living dead and the awakened few. The living dead keep betraying themselves until the shadow consumes them. The awakened few see the cost, admit the betrayal, and decide, never again. You were told that success would fix everything. Get the degree, land the job, buy the house, find the partner, stack the achievements like trophies, and one day you'll wake up whole. But you know the truth. You've tasted success, maybe a little, maybe a lot, and still the hollow feeling lingers. The raise didn't cure it. The promotion didn't silence it. The praise didn't heal it. Success came, but the wrongness stayed. This is the paradox of modern life. You can win the game and still feel like you've lost. You can climb the ladder only to realize it's leaning against the wrong wall. Carl Jung saw this sickness in countless men and women who came to him. They were respected, accomplished, admired, but secretly despairing. Because they had built a life of persona, not of self. Their identities were stitched together from expectations, but their deeper selves remained abandoned. External achievement without internal integration always ends in emptiness. Because what good is wearing the crown if the man underneath it is hollow? Think of the influencer with millions of followers who can't stand silence in his own room. Every post, every like, every comment is supposed to feed him, but it never fills him. His curated image shines online, while his real self starves offline. Think of the corporate high achiever, suit sharp, car polished, resume flawless. He's the one everyone points to as a model, but when he looks at himself in the mirror, there's a flicker of disgust he can't explain. Because he knows the life looks right, but feels wrong. Even in history, the pattern repeats. Nietzsche warned about it with his idea of herd morality. He saw how men chase the goals handed to them by the collective, thinking that climbing higher in the herd would give them meaning. But the herd only rewards sameness. The higher you climb, the more suffocated you feel. And Machiavelli? He mocked the man who spent his life obeying the rules, rising step by step, only to rot as a predictable nobody. Better to risk danger and claim power, he said, than to waste your life as a polished servant. You've seen it yourself. Success stories that should inspire you, but instead depress you. Because deep down, you know that being admired is not the same as being whole. Being envied is not the same as being alive. That's why success still feels wrong, because it doesn't solve the core problem. You've been climbing mountains that aren't yours. You've been checking boxes that were never meant for you. You've been playing a game where even winning feels like losing. And here is the darker truth. The more successful you become in the wrong script, the deeper the emptiness grows. That's why wealthy men kill themselves. That's why celebrities drown in drugs. That's why the most praised leaders sometimes confess in their private diaries that they feel worthless, because every step higher in the wrong life is a step further away from the right one. Jung called this the failure of individuation, the refusal to integrate all parts of yourself. You can succeed outwardly, but if the self is ignored, your soul will punish you with despair. You can fool the world, but you cannot fool yourself. So ask yourself, what is the cost of your success? Are you working for numbers that don't matter? Are you admired by people who don't know you? Are you chasing a dream that will leave you feeling even emptier when you finally reach it? This is the crisis that waits for every man who confuses the persona for the self. Success amplifies the hollowness. Fame magnifies the despair. Achievements become monuments to a life unlived. And if you don't stop, if you keep chasing this treadmill of appearances, the emptiness will eat you alive. But here is the hidden blessing inside the despair. The wrongness you feel is the signal. The hollowness you feel is the proof. It is not failure. It is the warning light that your soul is still awake, because the truth is simple. Success will never feel right until it is built on who you really are. Most men never learn this. They keep running, keep climbing, keep proving, until they die admired and empty. But you can be different. You can stop running someone else's race. You can turn your back on the herd's applause. You can choose the dangerous, lonely, liberating path of becoming whole. And that path begins the moment you admit what you already know. Success without self is just another mask. And the mask will never be enough. You already know what doesn't work. The rules, the approval, the right way you've lived it, and it's killing you. So what's left? Only the path that almost no one dares to walk. Carl Jung called it individuation. But don't be fooled by the polite word. Individuation is not therapy. It is not about fixing your stress or making you well-adjusted. Individuation is rebellion. It is mutiny against the false life you've been forced to perform. It means confronting the parts of yourself you've buried. The rage, the lust, the hunger, the strangeness, the ambition, the danger. It means opening the locked cellar where your shadow has been chained and saying, I see you. I hear you. You are part of me. Most people never do this because it's terrifying. It feels safer to stay numb than to face what you've hidden. Safer to keep playing the mask than to risk what happens when it shatters. But safety is the enemy. Safety is the prison. Jung himself faced this war. At the height of his career, respected, admired, wealthy, he broke. The mask cracked. He withdrew from the world, not to escape, but to descend. He kept journals of visions, dialogues with figures from his own unconscious, battles with symbols that haunted him. This wasn't madness, it was initiation. It was the forbidden path back to the self. That's what individuation demands, to stop performing, to stop betraying, to risk the madness of becoming whole rather than the respectability of being dead inside. History is filled with men who dared this rebellion. Socrates, condemned for questioning the very foundations of Athens. Nietzsche, breaking from every moral convention to declare the death of God. Galileo, mocked and threatened for saying what his eyes told him was true. Tesla, ridiculed for visions no one else could imagine. These were not adjusted men. They were dangerous. They were untamed. They were real. And that is what individuation makes you. Dangerous because you no longer belong to the herd. Untamed because you no longer bow to their approval. Real because you have reconciled what others are too weak to face. So, what does the forbidden path demand of you? It demands that you stop lying to yourself. It demands that you listen to the voice you've silenced, the one that says, "This isn't who I am." It demands that you strip away the titles, the roles, the applause, and face the raw figure underneath. It's not about becoming better. It's about becoming whole. And wholeness is not neat. Wholeness is not polite. Wholeness is everything you are, light and dark, noble and shameful, sacred and savage. When you stop running from the shadow, you stop living in halves. You stop being a ghost in your own story. You become the kind of man who can look in the mirror without flinching, because even the darkest parts of you are no longer enemies. They are weapons. This is why Jung said, the path of individuation is not for everyone. It is for the few, because most people don't want truth. They want comfort. They don't want to wake up. They want the dream. They want the applause, the routine, the numbness. But you feel the wrongness. You've seen the sickness of living, right but feeling dead. That means you've already been chosen. The very fact that you feel the emptiness is proof that you are capable of more. And that is why this path calls to you. Not because it's easy, not because it's safe, but because it's the only path that makes life real again. So hear this clearly. The cure is not in playing the script better. The cure is in tearing it apart. The cure is not in silencing your shadow. The cure is in walking into the dark room of your soul and shaking hands with what you find there. This is not therapy. This is revolution. This is not motivation. This is initiation. Most will never dare. They will nod, smile, obey, and die strangers to themselves. But you can take the forbidden path. And if you do, you will never go back. Because once you've tasted what it means to be whole, you will never again settle for half a life. So, how do you begin? Not with a book, not with a seminar, not with waiting for the right time. You begin by declaring war on the mask. This is not a checklist. It's a ritual. Every step is a strike against the false self you've been serving. First strike, write the words you've never dared to say. Take a page and pour out the thoughts you've censored for years. The anger, the envy, the truth you bite back in silence. Don't edit, don't polish. This is not for applause. This is for liberation. The pen becomes a weapon against the persona's grip. Second strike, notice where you lie. Every time you smile when you don't mean it. Every time you nod when you disagree. Every time you say, "I'm fine," while you're dying inside. These small lies are the strings of your puppet life. Cut them. Even one honest word is an act of rebellion. Third strike, say no. Not softly, not apologetically. Say no to the demands that drain you, to the obligations that bury you, to the performances that keep you small. One real no will give you more life than 100 fake yeses. Fourth strike, confront your projections. The people you despise, the traits you mock, the behaviors that irritate you, they are mirrors. Every hatred is a clue to what you've denied in yourself. Instead of spitting at the mirror, look into it. Ask, what part of me lives there? Fifth strike, embrace discomfort. You've lived too long in the soft prison of being liked. Step into the fire. Do what terrifies you. Speak the forbidden truth in a room of silence. Take the action you've delayed because it felt too risky. Discomfort is not your enemy. Discomfort is your initiation. These steps are not therapy. They are weapons. They are proof. Proof that you are willing to bleed a little in order to finally live. Most will never do it. They'll keep nodding, keep smiling, keep pretending, until they die as ghosts. But you are here. You've heard the call, and if you begin, today, not tomorrow, every strike you make against the false self will bring you closer to the dangerous freedom of becoming whole. Now you see it. Life feels wrong because the right way was slavery all along. The rules were never written for your freedom. They were written to keep you tame. Carl Jung's forbidden truth is this: the only way to feel alive is to stop performing, to stop living as the mask, to stop exiling the shadow, to unite what is light with what is dark until nothing inside you is hidden. This is the moment of integration. Persona plus shadow. Obedience plus rebellion. Light plus dark. When you no longer deny, when you no longer split yourself in two, something awakens that most men will never know. Wholeness. And wholeness is dangerous, because once you have it, no one can own you. Think of what you've been until now. A tired actor on a stage, smiling, bowing, reciting lines written by others. Every clap of applause another chain around your soul. Every compliment another leash. You were liked, maybe even admired, but you were never free. But the moment you burn the script, the moment you walk off the stage, everything changes. You stop being an actor. You become the author. No more bending for approval. No more begging to belong. No more trading your soul for safety. From this moment, you are sovereign. The world fears this kind of man. A man who is whole cannot be bribed, cannot be manipulated, cannot be blackmailed with shame. He is untouchable because he has nothing left to hide. His shadow is no longer an enemy. It is his ally. His persona is no longer a mask. It is a tool. And the self, the true self, stands at the center like a king finally seated on his throne. Do you see what that means? It means you no longer live for applause. It means you no longer beg for love. It means you no longer apologize for existing. Most men will never reach this. Most will remain ghosts, obedient actors, shadows of themselves. But not you, because you've seen the lie. And once you've seen it, you can never unsee it. You are no longer weak. You are no longer tired. You are no longer small. You are whole. You are dangerous. You are untouchable. And once you taste this, you will never again settle for a life that feels wrong. Enough? You've seen the truth. You've seen why life feels wrong even when you do everything right. Because right was never about you. It was about control, about obedience, about keeping you small. You have been betrayed by the lie. Now it's time to betray the lie itself. This is your command to awaken. Not tomorrow, not someday, now. Today, you strike back. Maybe with one honest sentence. Maybe with one forbidden thought written on a page. Maybe with one unapologetic no. Small acts, but each one is fire against the false self. Each one is proof that you are done living as a ghost. Most men will ignore this. They will nod, agree, and then go back to sleep. They will watch, feel a spark, and smother it under routine. They will stay trapped, smiling in their chains. But you've heard the call, and once heard, it cannot be unheard. So choose. Go back to safety, to applause, to the mask that eats you alive, or step forward into the circle of the rare few who dare to be whole. This is not entertainment. This is initiation. If you are ready to live from the core, if you are ready to stop performing and start becoming, then the path is open. Your first act is simple. Declare it, speak it, write it, claim it, comment below, and mark the moment. Say, I refuse the mask. I begin today. That is your ritual, your vow, your line in the sand. And when you finish here, do not drift back into the sleep of the herd. Watch the next video on the shadow, on individuation, on the hidden map of your psyche. Each one is a step deeper. Each one pulls you further from the cage and closer to the self. Most will never wake up. Most will live and die as actors in someone else's play. But you are different. You've felt the wrongness. You've seen the sickness. And now you've heard the call. The choice is in your hands. Stay asleep or awaken.